Let's take a look now at what's new in SOLIDWORKS Electrical for 2025. It can be kind of annoying when you open up an electrical project and everything is still zoomed in right where you left it last time, especially when you have to switch between different sheets. Well, this is no longer an issue, as SOLIDWORKS Electrical 2025 brings us a brand new interface configuration preference to zoom to fit when opening drawing. If you like things neat and tidy, you're really going to appreciate that every document opens straight to the perfect view. Especially valuable to save you time in larger projects. Let's look now at the Proteus V2. It's wide with 100% off-the-shelf cables and connectors, all fully defined inside of my electrical project. But how do all the details get here? Well, let's go into our manufacturer's parts and you can see they're all here. So how do we do this? We use the new Excel import tool and template to bring these components swiftly and easily into electrical, all fully defined. Let's create a new template for connectors. The properties in each column correspond exactly to what you're used to, and the template clearly indicates what is a mandatory or required field. There's even data validation for existing values in these libraries. Manufacturer parts can be defined, including the circuits and terminals. Note the use of different separators for both circuits and terminals. The new Excel import extends the cables as well, and I can define them fully with cable cores. With the new import tool, you can quickly add your exact content with all possible details to the library. The import tool will help you validate the formatting of the Excel and allow me to compare existing values. I've already imported it and it tells me so. If we take a look at component AC1, you'll see all the details that came into the manufacturer part. I brought in a few cables and you can see those cores have been fully defined through the Excel import. Cable management and configuration is also enhanced for a better user experience. To start, the parameter mark route is now added in the Properties tab, and when you add this cable from now on, it will be the cable's mark route. Note that the cable characteristics are also separated from conductor defaults, reducing any confusion as to which properties pertain to the entire cable versus individual conductors. Next, a new cable shortcut menu gives me all sorts of information. Go to drawing from cable jumps to where the cable is located, normally a line diagram. Go to drawing from a core jumps to where the scheme is, where the cable starts. And go to browser shows the origin of the component. Next, from the cable manager, you can now delete a cable even if it's used already in a schematic or a line diagram. The wires associated with the cable cores are disassociated. Let's add a new 2-conductor power cable. Remember that mark from a moment ago, PWR. Very useful filter for browsing cables in your library. Okay, let's hook up these cores. And notice on the drawing the PWR mark. Now if I want to get more sophisticated in my naming, I can use new variables that have been added to the cable mark formulas. Specifically position variables, as well as origin and destination variables too. Let's configure like that and let's renumber with cable marks. Dial in my project and save time with a better user experience with all things cable. Speaking of origin component, notice the AC1 in the component tree. Component tree is restructured, and under each component there's one new node for each manufacturer part, plus an intermediate node for each symbol representing that part. So for AC1 there's the line diagram, the schematic and the flat harness drawing. I can quickly identify all representations associated to the manufacturer's part in the tree. Under the hood in 2025, the electrical project drawings that come in from SOLIDWORKS 3D are fully linked blocks for each component. Any drawing published to the project will link the footprint with the corresponding component, and it even flows through to the final PDF. Okay, project drawings looking great, so how about we do a bit of design work. One task for today is to add a splice to extend my ground loop directly to the chassis. So this means I need to update the 2D design, the root and the harness. So let's start off by finishing this schematic representation and adding these new components into my existing H1 harness. Over in 3D, I need to associate the new J1 splice component, and it's actually placed right on top of my EW path, which is going to be important here in a moment when I reroute the H1 harness. In SOLIDWORKS 2025, Flatten Route now prevents creation of a loop when there's a splice directly on top of the path. You'll notice there's no loops highlighted, so SOLIDWORKS now uses existing sketch segments passing through the splice instead of adding new sketch segments for the unspliced wires. This avoids creating loops at the splice components. The Flatten tool also offers improved support for complex and multi-circuit splices. For example, identifying junction points and loop segments and moving them to the flattened plane, and directing fanouts away from the root instead of integrating them into the root segment. In previous releases, editing a flattened root has been improved, and you could try out this new on-screen interface for making fine adjustments to the flattened root. Now, even with this significant change to this harness, the drawing is going to update better than ever. There have been continuing efforts to enhance the quality and consistency while working with flattened roots. 3D root changes such as deleting or adding segments, modifying length or deleting connectors, wires, should all properly update in the drawing without issue. There have also been updates to the flattened drawing to provide cleaner output and improve workflows. You can see in the Show and Hide Flattened Root items there's a new option to create leader lines for each connector table, a nice visual link, especially in busy drawings. And you can use these boxes to insert tables that were removed or not added or replace them. Connector balloons now display quantity similar to wire balloons. There's better logic for placement of connector tables. They're going to be placed by default outside of the drawing view so they don't overlap each other. And automatic associativity when formatting changes or adding new columns to one connector table will now be prompted to trigger that update to other tables as well. Just a couple of final touch-ups here and we'll go back into the Show and Hide Flattened Root items. Speaking of tables, this component property is incorrect. Now in 2025, I don't have to be reliant on a SOLIDWORKS 2D user to make changes to manufacturer part properties. I can make changes and then propagate them to all the components in my project, and I can even run update and replace data commands directly from the 3D side. Let's make a few changes here to propagate through to the project. Any drawing from SOLIDWORKS, like this form board flattened harness drawing, are automatically updated in the electrical project whenever I save the SOLIDWORKS drawing, thanks to a new dynamic link between SOLIDWORKS and project drawings. Previously, if you made any changes, you had to click the Create Project Drawing button again to replace it, but you can see here it's all updated. As you can see, the workflow flexibility in Electrical 2025 between 3D and 2D is better than ever. Since the project drawing is now intelligent blocks, you can easily organise and refine these drawings from within the electrical schematic side. Furthermore, there's a new Annotate tab with commands relevant to that task. From this tab, we can make changes to 2D drawings. We can add tables and balloons. And in this case, I want to use the electrical component table. Save time editing flattened harnesses and control drawings. There's no need to go back to 3D to make these final adjustments. It's a really nice 2D, 3D, 2D fluid workflow we've introduced with Electrical Professional 2025. My design change looks good, just one more step before I generate a new PDF. I'd like to tidy up my document numbering. In 2025 there's a new option in the project configuration for marking the drawings by folder, not just by project. I like to use folders and this way of numbering fits my style. Let's apply that and then renumber the documents. We are able to accomplish a lot of detailed electrical design tasks today, quickly, accurately and enjoyably with SOLIDWORKS Electrical 2025. For the second part of this demonstration, we're going to highlight improvements to the terminal and terminal strip drawings. Here I have a schematic with multiple connection points. This could be from the same circuit or multi-level multiple circuit terminals, and the distributed terminal capability lets you associate symbols with specific circuits and pins, facilitating the representation of more complex terminal configurations. We've introduced an intuitive interface allowing for dynamic circuit and pin selection, ensuring accurate symbol to terminal mapping for enhanced design precision. In the terminal strip drawing, Electrical 2025 introduces more complete wire destination details. In this example, we want to show destination component for the wires and the cables, showing an organised destination component with wires, and there's improved display for multiple wires heading to the same component. This provides better visibility and addresses user requests for improved information.